hello everybody. Happy Thursday. Sorry for not doing videos earlier this week, but my husband and I were under the weather for a couple days. So weird occurrence, but it's passed, and it hit him about a day later, and now he's recovering. So hopefully you all are well. It's weird times we live in. So thank you for being here live with me today. Normally this video series is one that I put on the Paralegal subscriber hub. That is, there's no charge for that. There's no admission fee for that. And I'll put a link later to that hub. But if you scroll down sometime, I would say 5 or so days beforehand, you will see the Paralegal free goodies graphic, and that's where the hub is. So there will be 7 total videos in this series. This is number 5. I'm sharing it on this page because I thought it was necessary for all eyes to see it. Hi Felicia, good to see you. Always good to see you, girl. So yeah, it was really weird. In fact, I was on a phone call with a student of mine, and it was like at the end I started to feel really strange, like almost like a blood sugar episode, but it was mimicking that, but it was some type of weird 24-hour thing that went through, and now my husband's dealing with it. So you like to share things with your spouse. All right, so let's talk about this series of 7 videos is based on a Marine Raider, a type of Navy SEAL, but it's a Marine Raider, and they would do combat, just, I don't know what else to call it, but hidden combat missions, and really their expertise is unbelievable. But when no matter what, when someone comes out of the military, and my own biological father, who I did not grow up with, faced this. He suffered from PTSD from being wounded in Korea. Major PTSD. I don't know that there's any other type. But I looked at I read a book, I'm still reading it, called The Excommunicated Warrior, and making the transition from one career, which would be a military career, but for us, it's a different type of career. For me, I was running at one point a plant nursery, then I went to work for a major corporation in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that was the job from the lower regions. Not a nice place. It was not a good job, but it catapulted me. It made me, I learned a lot, and how to deal with difficult personalities in the workplace, which was necessary for life, and then decided to go into the legal field. So the transition, it wasn't the transition into the legal field, it was dealing with that particular job at the corporate level, non-legal, but that was so difficult. Again, I could look back and go, this is what I learned from that, right? So a lot of us have been through that. Terrible behavior at work. Hey, Josiah, it's good to see you. So let's start off with moving into this paralegal field, this career, and doing it, whether you take my class or not, whether you take a 2-year degree course or not, or you take a certificate, go through a certificate program or not, it all boils down to one decision. And whether you have a mentor or not, that you have to move forward. The transition time is a time of insecurity and fear, and if a lot of it feels abnormal. Let's talk about some of the scenarios that people have been through, including in my own family, including myself, and I'm sure you faced some of these. At least, more than 2, 3 to 4 people in my family were downsized, and then we knew 20 other people that were downsized. When my father was downsized, meaning fired, probably 20 other managers. He was a supermarket manager for 30 years. Probably 20 other managers at least were let go at the same time to save the company money. Nice, right? So you can swallow a bitter pill. That transition for my father took 6 months to even decide to make a move. That's not unusual for any of us to bottom out. And the military, men and women, face this same thing. So downsized, fired, furloughed, laid off, quit, rejected. You can't land a job. You can't get that toe, the big toe, in the door of a paralegal career, and you're facing rejection, no callbacks, and it's getting to you, and you can't make that transition. Now, for some of you, you haven't faced that type of thing yet, but there are ways to get over those hurdles. So let's talk. Those were some of the hurdles. That's just tip of the iceberg. The transition from one career or service to the country to a career is not the easiest thing in the world. It's not a cakewalk. It's not this, well, here I go, I'm just going to sashay in there. There's a lot of criteria of steps to take before you make that jump. And a lot of people do it incorrectly, and then they don't get called back and wonder, it has to be that they only want experience, that's why I'm not getting called back. But I can assure you that when people say to me, the whole state of whatever state it is, I'll pick my home state, the whole state of New Jersey, they all want experience. Really? There are millions of people there. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of law firms. It's in the communication and a lot more. So let's talk. If we keep piling in the negativity, well, it's just this way, and so I'm pretty much dead in the water. I did this, and they only want experience. And believe me, I have heard this for 28 years. I have heard this. And the thing is, it is a barrier that can be overcome. It can be overcome. But people don't know how to do that. Okay? And it's all down to, what do you know? It's not about education. It's not about lack of experience. It's about, what do you know that will help the attorney, and how can you convince them? Okay? If you don't push yourself beyond that fear point, then you're going to get what you get. You will remain stagnant. And it's always going to be, I'm going to get this person to help me, and I'm going to get this person to help me, and they're going to give me the key that will take away my fear. But you have to run with the fear. You have to not, you notice I didn't say run away from it. You run with it, because you're going to be scared when you make that jump into this career. Every single person, now listen to this, every single person jumping into this career had zero experience. Every single person. Okay? As a paralegal, they might have started off as a receptionist like I did, or a legal secretary like I did, and they were given the gift of the work, that you could learn the work piecemeal and learn how to do it slowly. But that doesn't usually happen. Okay? So that's a very fortunate thing that I walked into. But that's not the norm. Okay? So when we refuse to keep moving, I'm just looking at my notes, then we're stuck. But if we keep learning every single day, we learn something. What is it that you need to get better at? What is it that you don't know how to do? You know, what type of law are you looking at? Have you really investigated it on Google? To learn more, not about the law, but about what a paralegal does in that area of law you're thinking about. You know, there's no hand-holding in this field. There's no spoon feeding. There's no teaching, even if the ad says so at the law firm. There's no teaching. They may do it for 2 weeks and then they're done with it because they don't have the time. They are bogged down with work, like everybody in any career. There's not sitting around doing this. Oh, let me teach them for 2 hours. They don't have. They barely have 10 minutes to sit and talk and teach. You know, so that picture some people have in their mind of that this person's going to take me and nurture me. It doesn't happen, okay? It's rare. So here's the difference. When you start to feel negative and you're like, I'll never break in, this is so overwhelming, this is too hard, I won't be able to do that, they're just different than me, that's why they were able to break in. None of that holds water. That's going in the bucket of negativity, and it doesn't amount to anything. And pretty soon all you have is a bucket full of junk instead of things that will propel you forward. You just have a bucket of negativity. But what if someone told you, would it change your outlook if someone said, you know, 3 to 4 months, I'm going to have a job in this field? How much more passion would you have toward learning more and figuring out all those details about what you have to do to make this happen? If they said, for sure you can have this job, but you have to prepare yourself, and you can have it, today is June 18th, you can have it on October 18th. How would you feel? Your whole mindset would shift. You'd be like, oh, I have this goal, and they're saying I can have a job. But you see, it's no different. That when you prepare and when you know how to communicate with the attorney and you know how to help the attorney, you are going to land that job. But it's lack of belief in yourself that this will happen because you were used to this other world, whatever job that was, and now you're morphing and you're transitioning into this new thing that is causing fear, apprehension, insecurity. Totally normal. But the question is, what are you going to do about it? That is constructive. Ask yourself, the worrying, the overly worrying and getting in that whole negative mindset, how constructive is that? It's not. So when the guys come out or women come out and they suffer from PTSD, and they, in fact, some commit suicide, some become suicidal, some go into deep depressions. There's a group or several groups that are helping the men and women of our armed services cope with that transition. And I'm here to tell you that if you believe just a little bit in yourself, to keep pushing yourself forward, you will get there. If you don't let, I'm too old, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, you have to learn to know what you're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing when they start out. I don't care how much education they have. They just don't. They have to be thrown in the middle of it to know that, okay? So, your focus has to be in the preparation. Got it? Your focus has to be in that everyday preparation. So when you apply, and I hear this, I have people message me or email me privately just in the last week. I applied, but I didn't get any callbacks. And they sincerely felt that was the end. And they gave it a good try. But it wasn't the right way, you see. That's why. It wasn't the correct way to apply. And they weren't really ready. Number 2, you land the interview, but you never land the job. So there's something missing then, you know? And the fact is, though, that when you get called in, that's a major, major coup. That is so important because they saw something they liked, but you couldn't prove it in the interview. And that's the time to seal the deal. That's the time to, look, I'm not a salesperson. You know, I would never be able to make a living as a salesperson. But when you're in that interview, you have to say how you're going to help the attorney, even as a newbie. So, should you quit? Should you quit? Number 3, what if your take on it, and I've had this said to me in the last week, is that they're only hiring experienced people in the whole state of blah. That is simply untrue. That's untrue. And what is the answer then? The answer is that whoever is doing the job searching is not searching for the right jobs or in the right place, and also has to have something that they can say, I can help you, dear attorney, by doing XYZ. I know how to do this. See? So if you think that, well, I'll know how to do that once they train me, that is not, it's rare as hen's teeth that attorneys, they will say it. So many have said it to me. I'm there in my office and they'll say, I can take anybody off the street and train them. That's their famous saying. Every paralegal has heard this. And it is simply not true. And I have said to them, now let's be honest, you won't train anybody. I'll be doing the training. But there's no time to train, okay? So I can't say that enough. Nobody has that much extra time in the law firm or government agency or corporation legal department. So if I don't believe as a newbie to this profession, I'm a total newbie. If I don't believe there's an answer to this, what am I left with? Then you're left with giving up, right? You're left with giving up. And so there's a good answer. So what are your options? Number 1, try to get in without the legal knowledge you need, and then you'll face rejection. See, so if you don't have what you need to help the attorney every day in the everyday practical work, which, by the way, is this whole segment is not taught in a 2-year degree, and it's not taught in a certificate program, because both of those are taught by attorneys overall. I've met very few people, there have been some, taught by paralegals. That's who you want to be taught by. The people in the trenches doing the work. Number 2, should I quit outright and just hang on to the negative bucket? And just hang on to that. And number 3, calm down and focus on what is really available to you and where the real answer is. So it means, okay, Leslie keeps saying, because I'm amazed at how many people have listened to my videos but don't pick up on this thing. I have to know how to help the attorney as a paralegal. When people join my free group, Paralegal Break-In, one of the most common worries that is expressed is that I don't think I'm going to know, I don't feel like I'm going to know what I'm doing. And at that point, they're right. They won't feel, and this is when they're getting to the end of a program that they're taking. And they're thinking, I don't see, and it's very wise to understand that. I don't see how the puzzle pieces come together. How am I going to help that attorney? Well, fear sets in because if you land a job, then it's like, what am I going to do on day 1 and 2? And how am I going to do this if they don't show me? Because they're not going to show you. You know, there might be a person who can help you, a smattering of help here and there, but they've got a whole boatload of work to do. Okay, so the focus is, how can I help that attorney? Shift by knowing what that paralegal does in that area of law. Okay? So, bailing out and giving up doesn't have to be an option. Never has to be an option. when I read this, I'm still reading this guy's book, and he faced all these hardships. In fact, he went to a park and was going to do away with himself. And then he started thinking of his children, and that it pulled him back into a reality. And then he started to learn what he needed to do and get help with it. And now he helps other guys and women transition. See? So there's a transition that you need to make into how to help the attorney and learn what that paralegal does in that area of law, and don't expect to be spoon-fed. If you see yourself as a paralegal, then you also see yourself as a detective, and you have to ferret out that information. And it doesn't matter if you can have some great mentors around you, but in the end, you have to do the work. They've already done the work, and they're not going to go, here, this little droplet, one thing at a time. You know, you've got to put the work in, and you have the ammunition to do it. You have the power to do it. So bailing out, giving up should not be an option. You faced that in the past and you just couldn't get hired. There are good reasons why you didn't get hired. Okay? But they're not insurmountable. You can get over those barriers. Your whole life, and we know this, right? We're going through a test right now. But our whole life are, smooth. We're on the mountaintop, and then we get into valley moments. And this transition can feel like a valley moment, that then we've got to make a steep climb up to where we want to be on the mountaintop again. And it's quite like that throughout life. So, and those who have lived a life know what I mean. That you see that pattern, up and down, up and down. But if you put the effort in, you'll get there. And you understand what I'm saying. As a 30-year veteran paralegal, I'm telling you where it's at. So, what do? You realize that you need to do that research I just talked about and learn, and that will help you. And number 2, take responsibility to fix this situation. Take responsibility to fix it. If you let fear drive you, or you expect that somebody else will solve it for you past a certain point, in my course I show people what to do, and we have 40 plus videos and all of that, and we have a private Facebook group. But the good paralegals, the entry-level paralegals, will ask questions until they can't ask anymore. They just have all these questions, and they want to hone in on what is the problem here, and how do I do this, how do I do that. When I see people not asking questions, that's fear-based, and that's I'm just going to skirt around and not solve it. It's totally solvable. Totally solvable. So if you're sitting on the, you placed yourself on the back burner, it's really not procrastination. Procrastination is based in fear. Then it's time, when I ask questions like, how's your Microsoft Word? So many people answered they need to do better. Well, now's the time to do better. Now's the time to step it up. And then it's also time to do your homework, and go online and research those areas of law. But it's not the end of the road if you've sent out, 20, 50, 70, 80 emails, not emails, but resumes and cover letters, or via email, and you haven't gotten a call back, and that's you feel dejected. But that's because you didn't do it correctly. See? And you have to have the knowledge to communicate in the cover letter and on the resume. You do, for that area of law. And that's what my students learn, if they're open to it. And most of them are. And so many of the students have gone on to get first and second interviews. But right now, the legal field is going through where they had to all go home, which is kind of a cool thing, because they were forced, the attorneys were forced into going home and working, where they rebelled against it before because they thought they had to have this very fancy, nice office for clients to come in. But I think things are going to change. And for the general, the people who are looking to get in this field, I think you're going to see a shift in more working at home. Then some will still want to be in an office, or they may rent an office, and there may be a little bit of traveling involved. You know, it's just an interesting time for the legal field to me. So keep your mind open. Don't think it's only going to be one way. Don't make broad statements that my whole state is like this, or there are no jobs in my whole city. When the jobs open up, I'm talking about. This was pre-pandemic and after the pandemic, okay? I know an attorney in Georgia just hired another attorney to come on. I've known people, I just saw an ad in Los Angeles 2 days, let's see, I looked about 4 or 5 days ago, and it was a 2-day-old ad for a legal assistant entry level. So those jobs are still there. There's a smattering, there's jobs out there, and then it's going to explode. Okay, when that's going to happen, I can't put my finger on it yet, but it's coming. This is the time to prepare. That's why I wasn't going to launch my course until the fall, but I had people asking me, can you open it and have it another group come in? So that's why it's open till the 22nd, but I'm probably not opening it again till the fall. So come join us and be prepared for this, for when it opens up and then the jobs are more plentiful than they are right now, and get going. And don't be fear-based. Know that if I start transitioning how I think about it, that what if there was a job open like 3 months from now, 4 months from now? How would you feel inside? How would you feel here? You would feel jazzed, you would feel passionate, you would start to move around like there's hope, right? When there's hope, we start to move. The trick is, and the thing to do is, to move before we even have that, and to keep going forward, even when we're tired and disgruntled, in a negative spot. We've got to empty the negative bucket. You've got to visualize that, and then move forward every single day. Every single day. And when you have a to-do list that you've written down in your notebook of what you need to do, that's your accountability partner. Okay? If you need somebody behind you going like this, how are you going to operate in the law firm? Because they want you to be a self-starter, and they want you to operate and fly. You can't do that if you expect somebody to do that kind of thing, like, go ahead, you got to do this next, that next. They really don't do that in the legal field. So I wanted to, you know, it's a sink or swim kind of thing, but you have to know what those true barriers are and what those fake barriers are. And saying that they only hire experienced people is a fake barrier. It's a total fake barrier. I've had people on a live video like this and sat at my laptop when they were saying to me, there are no jobs in whatever, it was in LA County, and I went and found jobs right away. So they were kind of like shocked. That's because you have to learn how to search correctly and know what to say in the cover letter and your resume. It isn't what you think. So you've got to get ready to communicate better, and it's there for you if you do all those things. So come join us in the Paralegal Inner Circle class, and just go to the website paralegalcoffeetalk.com and look for Paralegal Inner Circle class, or you can scroll, I think it'll come up, well, there's one below, and look for the graphic about the class. It's just below, and there'll be another one coming later. But there's only, as of today, there's 4 days to go, and then registration will be shut down, and the class will be shut down until the fall. So, you know, because I've got a class going right now, and that'll be 2, and actually 2.5. So come join us in this next go around and start to piece the puzzle pieces together. All right, but don't let anything stop you at all. And if you have any questions while I'm on here, go for it and ask, okay? Just as an ending to this video, this page here, Paralegal Coffee Talk, is for people who are new to the legal field. It's not a page for paralegals unless you're just barely into the legal field. It's really a page only for brand new paralegals, you know, that are looking at going into the field or just broke in. That's what this page is for. Not for seasoned veteran paralegals. You've already been through all this stuff. So, but just FYI on that, okay? So have a great Thursday night. If you have any questions, ask. And it maybe that Facebook is not showing. But if you've posted, then I'll answer you, okay? I promise. Don't forget to go to the website and look at something called the 19 Alternative Paralegal Careers List. There is a link below for that, but you can go to paralegalcoffeetalk.com and look for the 19 Alternative. Just look for that. And there's also a free chapter of my book, Legal Break-In, as well as the whole book if you prefer that. But there's a free chapter there for you. What else? There are bar charts that you need to take a look at on the website. Those are Amazon products. But the other 2 items are complimentary, the 19 Alternative and the free chapter of my book. So hope you're having a great day today. We're about ready to have 3 days of storms. Today it's the rainy season. It's hurricane season here in Florida. So have a great Thursday night, and I will talk to you in tomorrow's video. Take care. Bye.